I got something we can look at here if you guys want. I think this is kind of interesting. The people whining about Black Panther Wakanda Forever because of women and minorities are doing the same old song and dance that was done all the way back in the 90s by right-wing conservatives and the religious right. Take, for example, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Was it Morgan Freeman that they were upset about?
Yeah. Charles Chuck Colson, notorious for covering up Richard Nixon's Watergate scandal, did a review of Prince of Thieves for his Breakpoint radio show. Notice how most of the complaints seem like they came from a Geeks and Gamers Drunk Idiot Mahler video, complete with cultural elites.
I'm guessing it's the critical drinker you called Drunk Idiot.
I think so, yeah. So PC comes to the theater, which, by the way, if you aren't aware of that, woke is just the new version of PC. You know, that's what SJW was. You know, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Consider this for a movie plot. A former POW comes home from an unpopular war. He discovers that his country has been taken over by the corrupt politicians. He joins a group of environmentalists in the woods. With the help of a feminist girlfriend and a minority activist, he works with the homeless and organizes the poor people of the community. It sounds like a 90s sort of movie, doesn't it? It has the Vietnam syndrome, multiculturalism, and all the politically correct poses. But surprise, it isn't a movie about the 90s. It's about the Middle Ages. It's Hollywood's latest version of Robin Hood.
What?
Wow.
Honestly,
I mean,
as someone who hasn't watched this movie, it sounds damn good.
Yeah,
I'd watch the hell out of it.
It's got its moments.
No, but if you
like
can
this
suffer
review,
through,
I'd watch the hell out of this review.
if you can suffer through Kevin Costner's accent in that movie, then it's not terrible. But his accent,
well, when he has the accent,
in an escaped prisoner of war from the Crusades, a thinly veiled parallel to the Vietnam War. The original Maid Marian was a damsel in distress. The new version is a feminist, tough and assertive. She's probably prefer to be called Ms. Marian. In the old tales, Friar Tuck was an important religious symbol representing down-to-earth Christian faith. The new Friar Tuck is a drunk and a lush. His faith is depicted as superstitious ignorance. Not content with changing the old characters, Hollywood has added a new one, a Muslim named Azim. Azim helps Robin escape from the POW compound and becomes his sidekick. In fact, Azim becomes the real hero of the movie. Repeatedly, he demonstrates the superiority of Muslim culture to backward medieval Christianity. In a scene where a woman is suffering a difficult childbirth, Friar Tuck solemnly says she must die because it is God's will. But Azim rolls up his sleeves and delivers the baby by C-section. Woke propaganda.
Wow.
So I just feel like that's
right. It's like the same thing. Jesus.
It's
interesting context.
That's pretty much a Ben Shapiro review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, some of the keywords have changed, but it's the same. It's the exact same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Even like just the whole like referring to like, oh, and then there was this feminist character, you know, and they were all environmentalists. Like they say this shit out of like nowhere, you know. And it's just yeah, it's a bunch of like buzzing in their minds, and then
well, I mean, they complain about strong independent women in these modern movies, but it's like that's just a thing. Strong women are just like strong men in movies. They happen.
Shouldn't they take us back to like the movies where they were good? You know, the good old classics like the Terminator and Alien. Isn't that what?
Sarah Connor and Ellen Ripley are the only strong female leads allowed in any movie ever.
Wasn't Ellen Ripley like the character written to like so that it could either have been a man or like a woman or a man?
Yes,
I think so.
And then
her first name wasn't established till the second movie.
Yeah, and then it was just the actor that came in. The best actor for the role happened to be a woman, you know. Like they like it when a woman, like a female character, isn't even written to be a woman, you know. I don't know. It's just, but we all know if those movies came out today.
Yeah, man, it's crazy that it really is just the same thing, you know. And I've talked about before, like how this stuff all traces back to, you know, like the John Birch Society, and you know, Rush Limbaugh was one of the people, the main one that got this popularized in the 90s. 80s and 90s with his radio show, just essentially saying the same shit. And you know, and now these people are just like the offspring of those folks, you know what I mean, that we're talking about movies that way.
Yeah, it's all the same stuff, and they like to be like, no, this is different, this is worse, but it's all the same. It's frustrating.
It's, you know, I've tried to consider that, like, okay, let's say that we started putting way more I guess conservative standpoints in films and gender roles and all this stuff. And it's like, so that the only thing that can happen is you limit and you restrict creativity that way, right? Like there's no benefit to creativity, to creative expression, to just be like, have these specific requirements that you have to do, and you can't show a woman being stronger than a man, and you can't have, it's ridiculous.
Have you guys ever felt demasculated when you saw a woman in a movie beat a man?
No, never, ever.
That didn't sound very convincing.
What are you talking about? No.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff does scream out to me as like, I mean, I don't even like focus on being a masculine man or anything like that. That's not like a priority to me. But whenever I see people screeching about that type of shit, it does scream insecurity to me. Like, you're not secure with your masculinity. And it's like, I am cool the way I am, and I can see a dude be a badass. I can see a woman be a badass, depending on the context. And if it's done well, it's done well. I don't know.
Yeah, I love like the argument when they're like, it's not that a woman can't beat a man, but it's like when it's like good, it's when the woman uses her femininity to like seduce the man, and then like uses their weaknesses as their strengths, but it's like, I don't know, they just don't like seeing like women in like fantasy worlds like a superhero show, like just be strong.
Well, it's like, women have to be strong in only one way. Why? Women are just as diverse as men. What are you talking about?
And so it's like if we go into their logic, and I know that's like a lost cause, their logic, but it's like
logic.
Yeah, because I've also seen like the arguments like, oh, but when you look at the actors, like the men are like, like a Chris Hemsworth that's like massive, and like the women are, a lot of them are not as big, but it's like Chris Hemsworth also can't do what Thor can.
Yeah. Well, once you throw superpowers into it, you have to throw that out the window because it's fucking superpowers.
Exactly. Like Tom Holland can't lift like a car.
I mean, Tom Cruise can't do like almost any of the shit that he does in those Mission Impossible movies. I mean, he can do the stunt, but he can't do the real thing.
Yeah, I mean, the number of harnesses on him just to do the stunts. It's
Reed
Coles, $5. Thank you, sir. Ryan Kennel called Rick Riordan woke. I don't know what that is.
I think
when the new
isn't that the like
Percy Jackson guy?
Percy Jackson, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because like one of the central characters, like Annabeth, like she's been cast as like a black girl in the upcoming show, and like Rick Riordan, like the writers of the books, is like in on the casting. He's like really involved in the show.
Oh, okay.
He's like put out that that he made the choice to cast her. Because like the fans just can't do the whole, oh, they're going against the author's vision, Like
they did the same thing with Sandman. Yeah, exactly. We were going the same way. Yeah, they it's the same time that they're complaining about Tolkien and his vision not being respected or whatever. At the exact same time, they're talking about Neil Gaiman. Oh, well, he's making Sandman woke or whatever. And it's like, one thing, you haven't read Sandman, apparently. We did a stream a while back talking about Sandman, me and my friend Willow, and looked at some letters that Gaiman had gotten back whenever the comic was published originally, from like religious groups that were essentially the same exact thing we just read, where it's like calling it woke propaganda without using the same terms, you know what I mean? And it really just highlights how this is a cycle that continues.
Yeah.
Like they do that as much as they can, right? Like if they can use an author to their advantage, most like the best case scenario is a dead author, so that the author can't like prove them wrong, like Tolkien, Stan Lee now, like it's the same like people who use like Martin Luther King Jr. as like he wouldn't stand for riots, It's like it's so easy to use a dead person as your argument, I
have this one video where we talked about Stan Lee and Tolkien from a while back, where they were, the She-Hulk twerking thing happened, and they're like, Stan Lee is rolling in his grave, and and it's like, hold on, man, did you not realize that it was in Mallrats? He read the script for Mallrats, where a character's obsessed with superhero dicks, and decided to be in that movie. He was in Deadpool. His cameo was a strip club DJ, and he made a joke, to the press that he was frustrated he didn't actually get to shoot in a strip club. He created the character Stripperella for Spike TV, which is Pamela Anderson as a stripper superhero. And it's like, don't try and fucking retroactively turn Stan Lee into some kind of like purist or whatever. That's silly.
I saw your like video on that.
Yeah.
And like the comment where someone's like, Stan Lee was Christian. He wouldn't have stood for this.
His Christian morals, and it's like, hold on, man. Do you not know anything? Do you not know what Stan Lee's real last name is? The only reason that most chuds, especially the likes of Dave Cullen, tolerate female characters like Ellen Ripley and Sarah Connor is because those characters display maternal attributes. That's a good point. Kind of a good point, especially, Ripley in Aliens for sure.
Yeah.
And then, Sarah Connor is written as a maternal figure. And it's not until the second one when she becomes any kind of badass anyway. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Is that really what, like, to them, a woman is only a child bearer?
Well, I think it's pretty safe to say if those movies came out today, they would still be freaking out about them.
Probably.
Yeah.
But because they grew up appreciating them, because who didn't? And so like they're not going to retroactively change what they think about those movies because, they don't change their minds about anything unless it's convenient.
If Return of the King or just like Fellowship of the Ring even came out nowadays with like Arwen like taking over like Glorfindel from the books like role, or like the whole I Am No Man, that would not have gone down today. That would have been the greatest like disrespect to Tolkien, like focusing on the female aspects.
And what's funny is that Rings of Power doesn't really have any moments like that. They're just characters.